Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 405 of the FCPA Compliance Report. First, a word from our sponsor, the Compliance Masterclass. Are you interested in the most comprehensive compliance training class around? You want to hear from a true subject matter expert in the nuts and bolts of compliance? Then my Doing Compliance Masterclass training is the compliance training class for you. It is unlike any other class being offered. The Compliance Masterclass is not theory or analytical underpinnings of the FCPA. The focus of the Compliance Masterclass is on the operationalization of compliance, for it is only in the doing of compliance that companies have a real chance of avoiding FCPA liability. I hope you will consider my Doing Compliance Masterclass. The next class will be held in New York City on November 12th and 13th. For more information, check out my site, www.fcpacompliancereport.com. Today I have with me Yvette Lingom. She is the Associate Director of Programming for C5 Communications. C5 Communications puts on an annual conference, Women in Compliance, each year. Next year it will be held in London at the end of March 2019. In conjunction with this conference, they have the Women in Compliance Awards, and I talked to her about these awards, the importance of these awards, the various categories, how people apply, and when the awards will be given, and how the awards will be given. It's a fascinating discussion on a topic that doesn't get enough play in the United States because these awards are made in the United Kingdom, but it's something that every U.S. compliance practitioner, particularly female compliance practitioners, need to be aware of, and male compliance practitioners, because you can nominate women as well. I know you will enjoy it. I'm going to link to the conference and the awards in the show notes. I hope you will consider nominating a woman that you know in compliance for one of the myriad of awards. They also have team awards. The FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, back for another episode. And today you are in for a real treat, because I have with me Yvette Lingom. She is the Associate Director of Programming at C5, and we're here to talk about the Women in Compliance Awards and a Women in Compliance Conference that Yvette is helping to put on next year in London. So, Yvette, first of all, thank you for taking the time to visit with me today, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Tom.
So, Yvette, I was very excited to hear about the award. I somewhat sheepishly admit I was not aware of it until Ellen Hunt over at the AARP told me about it and put us in touch together. But I was wondering if you just might start off by telling us what is the Women in Compliance Awards, how did it get started, and what's your role in it?
Right. Thank you so much for your question. The Women in Compliance Award actually is a very simple award to celebrate, to recognize the achievement of women in compliance within that particular community and the whole world of compliance. So C5, as I was explaining to you a couple of days ago, we organize conferences, and we do have then a strong database for the compliance conferences that were produced. We then decided 6 years ago to run a very basic analysis to understand who buys our conferences, where they come from, what industry they are in. And then we also run analysis on the gender. So we noticed that 70% of our conferences within the compliance industry are actually attended by women. So from that time, we decided to do something for that community, do something for this group. Would that be a conference? What would that be? And then we came up with the idea of, first of all, celebrating this. And the better way and the best format we find 6 years ago was to just create an awards. And that's how the awards were actually created.
So the award itself has multiple categories, and I was wondering if you just might be able to highlight some of the individual award categories.
Right. We do have actually two types of categories, the individuals and one involving the teams. One is for example, the Chief Compliance Officer of the Year within a large company or small and medium-sized companies. We try to actually recognize any woman within that particular role and what is actually the achievement she has made, what were her abilities, how can her peers recognize her in what she's done, and what sort of example she can bring forward through the entries and through the submission to kind of support what she's actually claiming. There's also one new category that we added, which is the Mentor Awards of the Year for Advancement of Women in Compliance. Only this year alone, we decided to make that gender neutral. So this is open to all individuals, can be a man, can be a woman, who actually helped or inspired or guided anyone positively into their professional development. That can definitely be a woman and a man. So we're very happy with that, one of those new awards, individuals, and hoping that many people will definitely submit. So this is for the individual category. Just an example. The second category are the teams awards. So we're looking at here teams where a woman has either led the team or participated in the team, and she still needs to demonstrate what has she done to have the team successful in whatever they were doing. So that's we have, for example, the best regulatory law firm of the year. We also have the compliance consulting team of the year, and lastly, the global trade and customs compliance law firm of the year. So that's how we go about those particular categories.
So, Yvette, I wondered if you might be able to share with us how someone, either a person or a team, could be nominated, and then tell us a little bit about the selection process.
Right. In terms of a nomination, we actually open it to anyone. It means you can nominate yourself, or a colleague or colleagues can nominate you. For the individual or for the team, then they have to enter into the platform to submit their entry, which is actually electronically. So they have to really a certain number of words, minimum, maximum words, they have to write, because we're thinking of the judges who need to go through it. We simply want to have a certain number of words where they need to really clearly demonstrate what they have done to win that particular awards. So they're going to progress into the entry. They can save it. They can come back to it. They actually have plenty of time to nominate themselves or nominate a colleague. Now, for the situation where colleagues are nominating someone within the team, we advise and we actually recommend that the nominee being aware that colleagues are entering a submission for that person. Because we don't want, we normally say you know better, you know yourself better than anyone else what you've done, and we don't want to have people disqualified only because the people who entered on their behalf didn't know how to present the entry. So we kind of recommend this kind of advice and tips for any other entries. Now, once we have all the entries in, we need to select them to make sure that they meet all the criteria we define into the entry process, and then we allocate all of the submission we receive to a pool, a faculty of judges selected actually to do that, and then they will go through and give a scoring from 1 to 10. And then they have to explain why they're giving 1 or 2, or why they're giving 10, or why they believe that this particular person is the winner. And then we proceed with the shortlisted, and then we also then, with the judges, decide on who actually wins. Generally, the winner is always the person with the higher score.
So that leads me to really the next general topic I wanted to visit with you about, which is the award presentation and also the Women in Compliance Conference. So perhaps you could just tell us about how the awards are presented and maybe lead to the conference itself.
Yes, for the award presentation, we organized then a ceremony on this one next year. It's going to be on the 20th of March, whereby we're going to invite all of the judges, of course, and also the nominees and the shortlisted and their colleagues, just to celebrate that and they only gonna know whether they're winning that evening as they are going to be called to receive the nomination and have received the trophy that they will win. So that's what we're planning to do, and we've done all the last 5 years in London. When it comes to the conference, if I can transition quickly to the conference, if you remember, I said earlier that we've noticed that 70% of our attendees to the conference and the compliance conferences were women. Now, out of those 70%, we've noticed that, 10% were not in senior roles within the compliance industry. That was one thing. The secondly is the feedback that we got from the awards. Many women were saying, will it be possible to have maybe more time for networking, more time to learn as well from each other? Because we meet during an evening, 4 or 5 hours, and that's it. In the awards, sometimes there's no really time to properly network. So that's how the idea of the conference started. But again, as we are a conference organizing company, we need to test those ideas to make sure that they're actually viable and can we really run those conferences. Positively, they tested. So we put together a conference, and the conference goal is actually to build the skills, compliance for women, just to make sure that they are compliance officers, chief compliance officers, they also women, and how they can still get the job done effectively based on the job description as a compliance officer. So this is what we're looking at within the compliance, the Women in Compliance Conference. We're looking at, as you can see on the, maybe you unfortunately you didn't have the program with you because we are developing the program at the moment. There's a good balance of technical topics, but also soft skills topics. So we need to we focus on the core expectations of what a compliance officer should do, from the risk assessment that they need to do, setting a compliance program, conducting internal investigations, and all of these different aspects. But also, because they are women, they are unfortunately some exposed to inequalities in the workplace. We want to just address those issues in the way that we're looking at solutions behind them. What do we do to maintain or to retain this talent, this chief compliance officer woman, talented chief compliance officer in this company, and make sure that she's still, and she keeps delivering, she keeps performing as the company expects. So we're trying to reach out to the good for the company, but also for the individual, which is the woman.
So, Yvette, let me just say a word about the venue of the awards dinner, because it's frankly one of my most favorite hotels in all of London. It's the London Marriott Hotel Grosvenor Square. If you've never been to Grosvenor Square, it's one of the most historical squares in London and therefore in the United Kingdom. But could you give us just a few words about why you chose this venue and what really, how that helps shine a light on what you're trying to communicate?
Well, when it comes to the venue, I work with a team of events managers who are, they look for, we have a couple of criteria to pick a venue. We mostly based those criteria on the numbers of people that we want and the number of people we expect, but also have them to be, have the room and have the whole experience of the awards positive for them. Now, last year we were on a venue we were cramped. That venue, it was very small. So the governor just presented just for us that capacity to have people sitting properly and have the chance to mingle and to walk quickly as well and easily as well and fluently. So that's actually what guided our choice. It's going to be a little more expensive, but for the experience of the people, I think this is kind of paramount for us. And also, look, it's not this is a celebratory evening. It's a ceremony. People need to be happy. We want to celebrate things. So it's probably good to have these people leaving the venue being really happy. That was what we had in mind.
So I certainly agree with that last sentiment, and I would just emphasize to anyone who's on the fence, this is a fabulous venue. You're treated first class, and it really lends, I think, to the entire message that you're communicating in this celebration of really women in compliance and allow a really great networking experience. Yvette, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, but I was wondering if anyone wanted more information or to contact you, how could they do so? And if so, how would they do it?
Yes, I mean, people can contact me directly to my email address, which is Y for Yankee, .lingom@c5-online.com. They can also call me. My telephone number is +44 207-878-6923 at any time. Or they can even find me on LinkedIn as well.
So, Yvette, we're going to link to this information on Women in Compliance Awards and the conference in the show notes, but I wanted to thank you for taking the time to visit with me today.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox again. I certainly hope that you will take a look at the links to the Women in Compliance Conference and the Women in Compliance Awards. If you know of a woman worthy of nomination, I hope you will consider nominating her for this very, very significant and important award. If you have any questions, you can email me at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. And once again, if you're looking for the top compliance masterclass training, I hope you will consider my upcoming class in New York on Monday, November 12th and Tuesday, November 13th. It's being hosted by Jonathan Marks at Baker & Tilly. There's information and registration details on my website where you heard this podcast, www.fcpacompliancereport.com. I hope you'll join me again next week where I take up another topic in compliance. The FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.